If the Rwanda plan, let's say the government have the green light, there are no more appeals and it all comes into fruition, how many people would they actually be looking at sending to Rwanda to relocate them there on a more permanent basis? And how do we marry that with how many people are crossing the channel every year here?
If the policy was successful, we would send 300 people to Rwanda at a cost of £500,000 each. I think there are far better ways of spending that money to clear the 100,000, over 100,000 backlog we have awaiting first decisions here in the UK. The policy, it's shameful, really, deporting our problems to a third world country in Africa. We need to deal with it here. It's really a sort of a buy one, get one free, flashy policy where the government pretends that they're doing something, but really aren't. So that's the real problem with all of this.
I think one of the issues you stumbled across, you say we need to deal with it here. Explain what legislation or what policy would enable the government to do that.
You don't need any legislation or policy. Say, for example, take the £140 million we're going to spend on sending 300 people to Rwanda. Let's hire 4,500 immigration officers. If they made 30 decisions each, the backlog would be cleared. How about that?
And what happens when they've made the decision?
Well, if someone is granted asylum, then obviously they are entitled to remain here. If they're not, they're sent home, quite lawfully, quite legally. No fuss, no Rwanda flights. Let's do that.
If it really is that simple, why are we in the situation we're in now?
Because the Home Office are completely incompetent. Everyone knows that. Every parliamentary committee has said it. They've allowed an enormous backlog to build up. And instead of dealing with that backlog, they've come up with this preposterous policy of deporting handfuls of people to Rwanda. It's just one of those things. Let's pretend we're doing something with a flashy policy about Rwanda that does nothing to solve the problem.
So what would solve the problem? If it's just down to incompetence, surely it could be fixed pretty quickly. There's other layers to this, aren't there?
Not really, actually, not really. I mean, the problem is that the world is a very difficult and dangerous place at the moment. We have the first war major war in Europe since the war. We've had hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians. Of course, these are good refugees that no one is concerned about, as it were. I don't ascribe to that view. But that is their solution. If you want to deal with this situation, hire and train immigration officers to make good decisions, get through the backlog. Those who are entitled to asylum should be granted asylum here and not in Rwanda. And those who are not should be sent home. It's as simple as that.